at this point in the movie, I'm like, okay, well, here's what you should have done. And I'm thinking,
Yeah, right. It's one of my favorite openings ever.
and I've watched that alternate ending, and it is garbage.
It doesn't go where you think it's going to go.
There's a monster. I'm ready for it to be over.
Well,
But I'm not sure I can even fully explain why I love this movie so much.
I had some issues with this scene.
My feelings on it have not changed.
I fell asleep until the screaming. This is actually where I started enjoying the movie.
This is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema.
I thought that should have been cut completely.
Fine.
Well, I'm sure it's artistic and you just don't get it. All right, here we are. Fellowship of the Real, Four Friends, and a movie. This time, it is nobody's pick, strangely enough. We, as a group, went to a special event. John Cusack was in town, Fort Worth, Texas, and he did a Q&A after a screening of one of his movies. He's in the movie. I call it a John Cusack movie. He said he filmed it he was on set about a week. It's not a John Cusack movie, I think, in the traditional sense, in the sense that he's like the main guy. Anthony Michael Hall and Molly Ringwald are the main people. He is a minor character, but he does have some screen time. Anyway, but he was in town to do a Q&A after a screening of that movie, so that was very cool. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to review 16 Candles after talking about our experiences at the Q&A. And as I say, this is nobody's pick because we eventually probably would have reviewed this movie.
Eventually.
Maybe. Yeah. But except for John Cusack coming to town, we would not have reviewed it at this time.
Yeah, definitely moved it to the front of the line, I guess you'd say. It was a special thing. It was really cool because how often the last thing I did like that was Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith did a Q&A for Red State. He ended up staying for 3 hours and answering it was like a 6-hour event.
Yeah.
He answered everybody's question, and Kevin Smith is so verbose that I was enthralled. I was like, oh my God, it took forever to have him answer all these stories he told.
Sure.
John Cusack was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen Kevin Smith.
Yeah, they were totally different. John Cusack, that man is a saint.
Yeah.
I got to say that.
Very patient.
Very patient man with the audience, because they were serving alcohol at that event.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been a bad choice on the venue's part.
Well,
they got to make their money.
Considering some of those questions, there's no way some of those people weren't, feeling it.
Sure. Well, I started thinking about like rules of etiquette at one of these things. Don't
be a fucking dumbass.
That's sort of the umbrella. The main thing is don't be drunk when you ask a question.
Okay, that's what I was.
You got a public.
Well, I have the public service.
Go do your public service announcement.
No, I was just going to say if you attend one of these events with the question and answer thing, is don't be drunk when you ask a question.
Yeah,
and
that
then
would be nice.
The other thing is to please think carefully before you speak.
Yeah,
because I'm going to laugh at you, or I'm going to really roll my eyes at you, and I don't know how John Cusack didn't. Because he did say some things.
He puts up with it because. I mean, as much as the movie, this is also a promotion of his brand, and he can't.
Well,
They put money in his pocket. Like I was saying, is every person, as far as I know, paid at least $25 to be in there.
Yeah, we got the cheap seats, and they were 30. I can't remember. What.
Yeah, so just 25 is a nice round number.
They were like 50 apiece.
Were they 50?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I feel like either way, like $100.
Either way, Mr. Cusack,
with the fees and everything.
Mr. Cusack was able to put money in his pocket to help pay his taxes from California,
right,
and all that. I'm glad he's doing that, and it's a good way to make money. But the people, you pay your ticket price. They feel that it's a Q&A. They get up there and just ask whatever. Unfortunately, and I wanted to say this to y'all the other night, I love people, but they're stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they confuse Mr. John Cusack, with being every single character he's ever played in life.
Yes.
I believe that.
They think that him and Molly Ringwald hang out every day. Him and John Hughes texted every day John Hughes was alive.
Yes.
And God bless Mr. Cusack, because he tried to kind of tell him that, hey, I worked on this movie for a week when I was 16.
Yeah, right. He was still going to school. Like I remember.
And I maybe did one more John Hughes movie, and he kind of fell. He did his own thing, and people just think, oh, he was the Brat Pack. They get him confused with
And
Not
that's
him.
another thing. I had a friend who asked Corbin Burnson about one of his, when she met him, she asked him about one of his co-stars on a show, and he got angry. You know, you're there to meet that person, ask him questions about him.
Yeah.
Don't say, who do you hang out with? You know.
Well, yeah. So my rules would be: don't be drunk and don't ask the stars for personal favors. Can I have a hug? Can I? It instantly creates. Like, I felt on the spot for him. Now what do you do, right? Because if you refuse...
Say no, some people are going to think you're a dick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the first one got yes. How clever you were the first one to ask.
Sure.
Everybody else no.
Yeah, that was one of the few things I thought the moderator did well. Was all right. Everybody knows the rules. She was the first person to ask, and she's the only one that's going to get a hug. Like, he shut that down very quickly. Because as soon as Cusack, you know, like you said, he was on the spot and he decided to be nice and give her a hug, I'm like, oh shit! Now everybody's going to want that.
Sure,
it's going to be a mess. You know, I'm not going to witness him get, you know, fucking mobbed.
Well, what was the next lady that came up like 2 or 3 later?
she wanted an autograph on
They wanted, and then 2 or 3 later was, hey, I heard you're not married. It was like, well,
yeah,
the
there
first
was
one to
so many,
ask.
like, so many like borderline proposals.
Well,
and just so much.
Yeah.
It blew my mind, and I guess that's the only time I've been around something like that. Like, I've been to Comic Cons and stuff, but it's very
orderly.
Get your autograph or get your picture
Yeah.
and get out.
It's a cattle call. You're in a
Yeah.
shoot. You're in a shoot. You got 12 seconds. Go.
Right, where this
That's literally
it just
why
blew
they
my
do
mind.
that.
And
Yeah.
maybe it was the alcohol. I mean, they should probably have a breathalyzer on the line when you
Well.
go up for your question. Sorry, you blew over the limit. You
That's
can't
what I
ask
told
the
my
question.
girlfriend. He needs to hand the breathalyzer to him and then the microphone.
Yeah. Well,
You have to
I think-
blow under
And it's like had
0.06.
water. He didn't even have alcohol. Like, I would have
Right,
wanted
yeah,
some to
yeah.
sit up there and put up with that shit.
But people assume familiar. I think they assume familiarity. Oh, this is a
Yeah, like
famous
James
star.
said.
They're gonna love me.
Right.
You know, we're gonna be best friends.
Yeah, like James said. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the guy from
You're the
North
guy,
White
and that's
Lake
what one of
or
them said is,
whatever.
"Oh my God, you're so down to earth. You're everything I thought you'd be." He's like, "I've been sitting here 5 minutes answering bullshit questions.
Yeah, you don't
know me.
him. You didn't go through something with him. Yeah,
Yeah.
how do you know
Oh.
them? Yeah.
And y'all, we saw the guy out in the parking lot, the one who asked where he wanted to go to Hollywood. He wanted to do this.
Oh,
and was
yeah.
asking
In the
him for
trench coat?
and I was like, okay, he's a creeper.
She thought he was like, I
Well, he had a quick little funny line. He
Yeah.
was the thing. John Cusack's, again, serious answer. God bless that man. He answered him the right way. Stay here, do what you're gonna
Yeah.
do, find some friends, make stuff. You
There is
don't have to go to Hollywood.
There's a Lone Star Film Society. There's screenwriting groups both in Dallas, and then there's Fort Worth has got. There is a film industry, and I think it's becoming increasing.
Yeah, there's a complex they're looking at building in Mansfield. It's
Right.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
$200 million or something
Yeah.
stupid. Like,
God.
I mean, if that goes through,
And
and I know Taylor Sheridan with Yellowstone films a lot of his shit here.
yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
then
Up in
Tulsa
Mineral
King with-
Wells. Yeah.
Tulsa King with Stallone, just right up the road in Oklahoma. So
yes, and Sherry sent that article. I haven't read it yet, but there is this consensus that big movies are sort of not what they used to be, and that the real action is in independence and low budget. Like, I think Cusack was exactly right. Get a camera, get a script, and go make something. And the idea that it has to be a tentpole, I think everybody wants to be a star, yeah. But the idea that you can't do something meaningful regionally or have it go national and still be independent, I think is a misnomer. I think that's where the excitement.
Independent is the way to go. If you can get 1,000 fans
Yeah.
to pay you $100 over the year,
Yeah.
that's $100,000. That is a living.
Sure.
If you
And
can do independent things like that to a small group, like John Cusack did. He played in front of 3,000 people,
yeah,
pocketed maybe $10,000,
sure.
and he did it in 3 cities in Texas. And he's going on.
Oklahoma, yeah.
It's that
And,
small independent
he's-
spirit, just making it work.
Yeah, and
That
I mean,
was his advice.
yeah, there's the festival circuit and all that where you could get, and especially with all the streaming and everything, and I think that some of the more honest and better stories are coming out independently, probably than because money is such an overriding factor on.
Yeah, you got to have some kind of money, but thankfully everything's as inexpensive as it can be. Now you can film a movie on an iPhone, edit it in your suite, or I don't have iPhone products, but
Yeah, no, the technology is
do it.
there that wasn't before.
hell, I can make an album right here by myself with my stuff.
Yeah,
Like you can make a movie. It may not be great. I'm not saying my album would
Well-
be great either, but you could make it.
yeah, I think that's where streaming, in all honesty, where streaming is coming in as far as like to me like a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they're just putting out so much content, and you see, like before, it was like you were a movie star or you were a TV star.
Yeah.
And if you were a movie star that then started doing TV, it was viewed as a negative, like your career was going backwards, and now you're on TV and doing TV movies and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like you see so many stars doing streaming because I think because they want to tell original stories and the content, and like that's where TV or streaming, the streamers are putting out better stories than Hollywood right now, because it's most of Hollywood, like you said, is this tent pole, and now it's superhero bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I think Cusack was right on. Like that guy who, I guess you have to have an idea of what your career will look like. And apparently this guy thinks that Hollywood and the big movies are his career, but that is a hard nut to crack as a writer or anybody.
Sure.
The odds are astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, Cusack said you can go to Hollywood and knock on doors if you want, or you could stay here.
And I've always heard like some of the, it sounds counterintuitive because it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. But the idea of you going to Hollywood, they're just going to shut you down. But if you do something that attracts their attention, they're going to be begging you, and paying you for that product. So I think create something and make them come to you is almost
you own it.
Yeah,
you own your brand, you own your idea, your intellectual property, whatever it is. And the funny thing is when that kid said, "I'm going to go out to Hollywood and try to be a star," the first thing that came to my mind was Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
when Sweet D Reynolds just looks at him and goes, the kid, they picked up a hitchhiker and the hitchhiker's going to Hollywood to be famous, and she goes, "Oh, honey, they're going to love your sweet little body in gay porn." Oh, honey.
Well, I hope he knows how to serve tables, wait tables.
Like they're just going to chew you up and spit you out. That's not the plan, kid.
There's like because it's the joke. Every waiter and hotel has a script.
They're dropping scripts and paper towel dispensers and setting it down with their tickets and their bills.
The Austin Film Festival had a little bit of a snafu last competition because they got so many scripts into their competition. They had trouble reading and rating them all, and apparently some didn't, and so didn't get read or anything, and so they had to issue this apology and all that. So it is flooded with everybody who has a vision of their career that is,
and that's what it goes back to, is just if you have an idea, don't go try to hand it to Steven Spielberg. Don't go try to hand it to, do it. Try to find somebody local in your area or even online.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of tutorials. There's a bunch of guides. There's people have done it.
Yeah.
You could be the next one that's super successful like George Lucas. Just do your work, write what you know.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
So as far as getting back to Cusack, I think that was rock solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to add to what James has said. Back to the do your thing and get the rights to it. For instance, this is a TV show, Destination Fear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ghost shows out there.
Oh yeah.
Destination Fear, they were canceled.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. Well, they went on YouTube and they explained. They owned all that equipment. They owned the rights to everything. He did all the work. The guy did all the work. He did all the editing. So what did they do? They took it to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably have an instant 10 million followers, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
So they're gonna control all that money now because of advertising and all that.
They probably can do it for a lot cheaper. They do what they want. They don't,
We watch a guy. I think I like his videos, but they're Adam the Woo, and I don't know if you've ever seen him. I don't know that he even plans. He just goes somewhere and he'll just stream of consciousness talk. And sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes he'll film himself eating a sandwich. And I don't know. Anyway, he's got a lot of followers, and some other video guy tried to break down what they thought he made per year based on his followers and advertising and all that. And this guy with a camera and just filming himself eating sandwiches and talking about places, it was something like $250,000 a year. Okay. Yeah.
Makes me sick.
Yeah. Right. So, it can be done. And so Cusack was right on about, there's not just one vision. And in fact, that's probably the worst selection of visions because it is so hard and so difficult to break in, and the odds are against you. The odds are 100% that you could go right now and make something, you know.
I just want to bring up real quick the reason that we're still talking about this question in particular that was asked of Mr. Cusack is because there were maybe 2 or 3 honest, solid questions the whole night. The rest of them was, what's your favorite movie?
I do like how he fired that back every time. Oh, because again, he was a saint and super humble about it and just super nice and was like, well, there's so many, I can't really pick one.
I'm the same
what's
way.
Your favorite?
Yeah, what's
like,
your
he
favorite?
would fire it back to the person.
I don't know.
I don't know. And he goes, see? It's really hard. Like, and he got so tired of asking that. Like, like you said, James, like there were some people asking it over and over. However, I do think
different variations of it. Favorite movie, favorite books.
Well, at least they formed a question. There were a couple of people that couldn't even form a question, and he's sitting there going, and?
Well, at one point he says, is there a question in there?
Yeah,
that
was...
and the audience, like, I think I had gotten up to stand by that point because those
chairs were uncomfortable.
And I'm 6'2", and anyway, but certain questions, especially that lady that sort of just, like, and she stalled, and there was like these moments of silence, and are you going to, because people around me, I could hear the groans and I could hear people saying, are you going to ask something or take her off, sit her down, So the audience.
Like, I'm going to ask you something. Now this is going to be really, I mean, it's really personal. It's going to be.
And then it wasn't.
And she said something you can bow out right now. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, there was all this fucking buildup.
And then it was, I think it was, what was the
she
favorite
lost
movie?
her nerve. She lost her nerve. She was going to ask him something.
And then changed
her mind.
I didn't
It's
think
probably
about
not a good
that,
idea.
That's probably what happened.
I didn't think that.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been halfway through a sentence going, oh shit.
Yeah, wave off, Ghost Rider.
I get being nervous.
Now.
Right? The people that were nervous, that didn't bother me, obviously. But
Sure.
but the
but
ones
her
that were asking
friend-
stupid stuff, that.
Her friend
There's
was
2
the
of them.
same way.
Yeah.
And as they walk away, everybody's talking about them, and they're still in their own world.
They were drunk as skunks, I'm sure.
I think
Now.
so.
The guy that asked about the panties, I think he was.
Oh,
I
there
think
was a
he
lady
really
next
wanted
to me
know,
that just absolutely wanted to jump the balcony and go strangle his ass. It's like, come on, you perv, or whatever she said. I mean, yes. And we'll get into this when we talk about 16 Candles anyway, but because I have some thoughts about that. And
that was the same douchebag that challenged him, right? Like because they talked about, or was that a different guy? They talked about MMA and talked about Cusack's,
yeah, which I didn't know.
Martial arts or whatever. And then, but he said, and I challenge you. He's like, earlier you told the young man to
to go make independent
about
stuff,
making his own stuff. Well, I challenge you, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm sure. No, Cusack.
Cusack's a celebrity. Who the fuck are you, man, to tell Cusack like what?
Well, but he does that stuff. He said he made something down in South America that's on Netflix. We need to look that
that's
up.
what he did. But like, even if Cusack hadn't made anything small like that, like I couldn't believe it. Where did the balls on this guy to get off and tell this?
Because they're friends, man. Those guys are best friends. In his
they're
mind.
best friends. Yeah. They were drinking with each other in the green room.
Sure.
Like, yeah. John Cusack's on the same level. He's drunk too. Right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay.
Now,
Blew my mind.
I think I might have sort of had some inkling of this, but it certainly was brought out, I think, as Cusack talked. To James's point, a lot of people think, oh, Cusack, he's all those guys from his movies, but he's not. Because he made certain remarks like he likes the subversive stuff and the dark comedies. I think Cusack is more of a artist and thinker actor than he appears to be in his teen movies, because he made those when he was a teenager and early 20s. So but even back then, I think he was looking for more meaning in his roles than some of those teen comedies.
That and his comments about some of his movies were like somebody's like, we spent all week watching all your movies, whatever, to build up for this, and he's like, well, do you need your money back on some of those? Because like he made several references to how he felt like some of his movies weren't good.
Yeah. Some of his movies aren't good.
Well, I'm not saying he's wrong. How many celebrities are going to admit that?
Well, okay, and I thought about that because I like almost every movie that he's in. I don't think that he's made necessarily poor product, but I think in his mind they aren't
what he wanted them to be,
meaningful or deep enough. I think. Like 16 Candles, he made that movie because he wanted to be
an actor.
Sure. Yeah. And he was 16 years old.
Yes, but now if he has his druthers, he's making movies like Fat Man and Little Boy, movies that can inform the consciousness and this kind of thing.
When I was looking through the list of his movies, one of them I totally forgot he was in was Being John Malkovich, and
oh yeah,
I remember
he's real good in that.
Yeah, but that's a really weird.
Well, I think
it is.
Do you think that's one of the ones that he thinks so?
Well, it's like anybody, like say a woodworker, he can make popsicle sticks and make a lot of money selling them to the popsicle company, or but an artist is going to want to, I think, constantly be improving and making more intricate things and have it as a craft. And I think Cusack is very much into the craft and art and taking it to a new place kind of acting.
Yes, and sometimes you got to make popsicle sticks
Sure.
to pay the bills.
And I think the other night was a popsicle stick. You know,
exactly.
sitting there. Now,
Exactly.
I used to follow. Now, I do not fault him for this, but I definitely separate because Sherry noticed that during the movie. Now, I don't know if he like pre-scheduled them because you can schedule your tweets way ahead of time and they can just come out. So you don't necessarily have to tweet every tweet, right? It's the same as everything. But during the time that we were watching the movie, several Cusack tweets came out that, you know, she went to his Twitter account.
It was because I looked up. He kept talking, or people kept talking about his birthday. So I looked up his name, and it pulled up, and it said he would just tweeted something.
Oh,
so
during
I
the
looked.
Q&A, you had looked it up because people brought up his birthday. Or during the movie.
No, this was when we got
But
home.
during the time of the Q&A,
when we
tweets
got
of his
home,
had come out.
When we got home, it said he had tweeted something 3 minutes ago. So I said, well, what? I don't follow him. So
Yeah.
I went and looked, and of course, I didn't want to read some of the things
Well,
he tweeted.
my
But it's
point
all
is-
political. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But then I started looking back on his feed. Yes, he had tweeted during the
Either scheduled them or
the
tweeted.
movie. Yeah. During the movie, because it said like 3 hours ago, and I'm like, well, that was during the movie.
Yeah. So I don't know that. I mean, I would have thought he'd been sitting backstage watching the movie, you know, with the audience, but he may not have been because to him, he's moved on. That's something he did, right? Now, so I respect Cusack, and especially after the other night, I think he's a quality person, very patient. I think he's down to earth, and everybody's political opinions are their own, but he has a political stance and is adamant about it, and it may not necessarily coincide with mine much of the time, and that's fine. I don't get my politics from actors or movies,
Right.
And I appreciate him. He pretty much kept
and he did not
saying anything except once he said something, and I just kind of looked away. I said, "Don't go there."
Oh, it was
Well, I
the
thought I heard-
Greg Abbott
I heard
shirt.
two.
Trump, and the Trump thing, yeah.
The Trump
Well,
thing.
I thought it was Biden and Trump. I thought he talked about both of them.
Yes, he is. But Biden
yeah.
getting Trump getting out of jail, and then
Yeah, he had a little.
because Abbott obviously is. So
Abbott or Biden?
Abbott.
Abbott,
He
was
never
a
said
shirt.
anything about Biden?
no, he is a big fan of Biden.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, most celebrities are Democrats, but yeah, I thought he had. I got heard wrong, I guess. I thought he.
I kind of
thought he
shut
talked
down
about
that.
Biden
Yeah.
initially,
Just
and then
kinda like,
of course I
I
remember the Trump thing because he was like, "Well, if I was this, I'd have to own my own tower and then get out of jail."
Sure, yeah.
Just a little bit, but yeah.
And it is. I'm not saying, okay,
But it was two comments out of all of that. So yeah,
Yes, what I'm saying
He
is-
didn't get on a pedestal.
But I'm
or anything.
saying I'm not gonna. I don't want to hear it from them because I have the way I feel. It might be
Sure,
the same. It might be different. But I don't want them to go
right.
there.
And he I think was gracious enough not to turn it into a because he
Right.
knew he was there for a reason, and not to politically stomp.
Yeah.
Because I used to follow him on Twitter, and I stopped following him
Me too.
because
Me too.
I don't even mind that. I didn't stop following him because his politics were different than mine. I stopped following because that's all he uses his Twitter for, is to get his political views out. He doesn't talk about movies or what he's doing next or anything
Yeah.
to sort of get information from a John Cusack. He didn't do that, and that's fine. But I followed
You were
him
there for
Yeah.
movie stuff or story
and
stuff. Or
he did not launch into and was gracious enough not to, get ugly about his politics.
That scored a lot of points for me because I had a agreement with myself. Had it gone there,
Yeah.
I'd have been like, "All right, good night. I'm going
That
back
was
home."
me. I had already
Yeah,
said.
if it became
I will
this
look it
long
up.
diatribe and
We're not there for politics. Like politics aside, completely out of this. This is just about movies and fun.
sure.
And John Cusack, I think, knew it, or maybe that's what
Well,
he was. He was very professional about the whole thing.
Yeah, I think he has his views, but I also think that he is down to earth and realizes, these are not everybody's views, and I'm humble enough to have my views, but not bang people over the head with them.
Well, I'm sure he hears all the stories about a lot of people moving from California
Well, yeah.
to Texas, so he probably understands, with the exception of Austin.
Yeah, he's welcome to move to Texas anytime he wants, because
and
he
it
had
seems like
mentioned he was thinking about it, and he really liked Austin. And
Well, that's probably the perfect spot for him.
Well, Austin, there is only one. I mean, there's probably other, but Austin is your hard blue
it's a blue
district.
city.
Yeah, you'll see a sea of red, and there'll be Travis County, which is fine. Whatever. But keep Austin weird. I'm all about
Yeah, I
that.
would say keep Austin weird, so Holly weird will fit right in.
Sure. I like Austin. I like the music scene.
so do I.
I would move
Been
there.
several times.
And there's
I like-
conservatives there too.
When's the last
I
time
know.
you've been to Austin, by the way?
We went to the Die Hard thing. I haven't been down
Has
to.
been-
I've been since.
We went a
5 or
couple
6
times to, like Kevin Welch is a indie artist I like very much, and he was playing some bars down.
2020 is when we went.
Yeah.
2020. It's changed a little bit.
Yeah, we went to the music district, and then we went to that screening. But even around the screening, there's a homeless shelter right down the street, and they are out and about. There was that guy I still remember. We were waiting to go inside the screening of Die Hard because the screenwriter did a Q&A after, and this guy was walking up and down the street, and I'm going to move the mic away because his whole pitch for money was, you got $5? Give me $5. You got $5? Just back and forth, just screaming, angry. Give me $5. But they were everywhere, and I was disappointed by that.
You wanted to dance. You wanted something, a song.
No, not by the $5.
Give me
I was
my money's
disappointed
worth.
by the way that way the homeless situation was out of control, and that that it was in the midst of downtown there's where it's a nice section of town, and
Right.
and that's where the Austin Film Festival is and everything. You sort of had to push and wade through all these homeless people, which I don't want to get into that. Something needs to be done. But
I think Austin is cleaning that up and all
Yeah.
that. We went a couple of months ago, and I forget why we went. We saw the bats at the bridge
yeah,
and all that stuff.
we did that a long time ago.
God, why did we go to Austin? Amanda's
It
gonna
was
kill me.
almost
I don't remember.
years ago.
I mean, the music
It's-
scene
it's
is way
pretty
cool.
nice.
I would,
It's pretty nice.
yeah, yeah. So he was very restrained in his politics, because he is definitively not the person, not in total the person you see in his roles.
I think it really was clear to me when he was talking about something and music came up, and he was talking about punk rock and
Yeah.
the Clash and all that. I'm like, oh, and then it clicked in my brain, like you were saying. He is more of an artist trying to do something that's gonna really speak and
Yes,
have something.
I think so.
That is really what a lot of people who claim punk rock is their favorite music do. Like,
Yeah.
that I really see that correlation. So now it really makes sense what John Cusack's trying to do.
Yeah,
It's all those fun, crazy comedy movies. Those are cool, but those probably aren't his favorites.
yes, and as his career has gone on, I think Grosse Point Blank is a comedy, but it is a dark comedy.
Yeah, and,
And-
he said
and-
he likes those. Yeah.
It's a commentary
And he
on.
Yeah, but it's he calls it subversive, meaning it's saying something.
it
Well, he helped
definitely
write
is.
it, and then I think that's the question that you were talking about, James, because somebody had asked him about the music on that, and he had his input
Yeah,
or
he definitely wanted a certain
yeah.
Yeah.
tone and playlist for that.
It was definitely because we watched Grosse Point Blank. We watched John Cusack movies all week, getting excited for
Yeah.
this. Didn't want to tell him that, but
Right.
I'm not a huge John Cusack fan.
Yeah.
I guess you'd say, but it turns out I guess I kind of am now because Grosse Point Blank was great. Better Off Dead is
Yeah.
a fantastically great, cool movie.
It's very. Now, growing up, I watched John Cusack all the time, and I always was attracted to his roles because he was the sort of underdog loser type who
Yeah.
sort of pushed through and managed to come out okay at the end.
A little narcissistic, or not narcissistic. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the very Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, like
Yes.
talk out loud, like oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
like
But not necessarily the cool kid.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. So I always have liked his movies, and then as he got into more serious roles, because I think the reason I think he's not a bigger star is because he was so labeled early on with those roles that when he does something dramatic or serious or dark, what was that Identity or whatever?
Yeah.
And Midnight is decidedly not those early roles. I think he's got more chops than, and hopefully that's changing, but hopefully I think he's got more chops than even some of the audience members that we saw the other night believe he has. I don't.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more he has a lot more in the chamber than a lot of the other people in that audience gave him credit for. Like the more I watched him, the variation of all the movies that we watched, he's really good. He's really good in all those movies, and I totally have a new respect for him anyway.
Yeah, and the fact that he talked more about either some of the subversive movies or his influences, like not militant, sort of protester priest friend of his growing up in the 60s or whatever. The fact that he talked more about that stuff than he did 16 Candles can sort of reveal his motivations and sort of philosophy of life, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I think he is so political, and this is why I sort of don't hold it against him or don't bat an eye. I think he's only that political on the other side because he sees what he perceives as the machine, injustice, money, power, and what it does. And I think he chooses that side to sort of fight against that, coming out of the tradition of the 60s and 70s and stuff like that.
He talked about the studio systems being like algorithms now.
Yes.
And he said it's like fast food.
So I think some of his rants on Twitter, I've been like, okay, that's fine. But I think it comes from a place that is honest as opposed to some of these talking heads on the news channels and this kind of thing.
I think so.
Anyway.
Well, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I kind of was a little disappointed though that because a lot of the interviews or type of things that I see on YouTube or on video, it seems like there's a person that sits with the star or whatever and sits there and asks them questions and what are you doing now? What project are you working on? You know, just better questions than what the audience was asking. And then that lasted, 2 seconds? And then the crowd jumps into...
Well, I think they wanted the crowd to feel like they could interact with him.
I understand that, but...
That's what I was expecting was a moderator. The dude's like, I'm going to be the moderator. So I thought he would sit down with Cusack and ask some predetermined questions, and they would be good ones as opposed to leaving it up to the fucking drunk audience.
Right, because I wanted to know, what is he... I mean, I wanted him to... He doesn't have to go into detail about 16 Candles because, yes, he wasn't in it that much, but he was in it more than I remembered.
More than I remembered, yeah.
But, and then let me mention one other thing. One thing I did really like what he said, and I totally agreed with him, was it makes a difference when you sit in an audience watching a movie, especially one that you've seen a dozen times, and you know all the lines, and you sit there with other people that are the same way, and I sat there and laughed at that movie more.
Yeah, sure.
Than I did watching. Yeah,
the audience, the cheering when Joan came on. I we'll talk about her when we get to the movie or whatever. But yeah, at various points, the cheering and people knew what was coming, but still loved it. Like the ending, as soon as Jake is revealed,
Oh, I love that scene.
It gets you. Still, I think it still gets you. Whatever.
But that was my main thoughts about the Q&A.
Yeah,
was his comment about that, and then just being a little disappointed that there wasn't.
Well, when we went to see the Die Hard and with the screenwriter, it was an Austin Film Festival event. They do stuff all year, not just in October. So this was one of those things.
In December, because Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, but it was an Austin Film Festival event, so they had a representative from Austin Film Festival sitting on the stage with the screenwriter, pre-checked questions or questions that they wanted, and it lasted about an hour maybe, which I was fine with how long it went. I thought he was very gracious, but a lot of it was just, especially when the audience would groan at the questioner or the question and felt like, because a lot of times I felt like they were wasting time. It was a misuse of his time, a misuse of our time.
Well, that one lady that was like, I'm going to ask you this personal question. You can back up. Like you had mentioned that before. It's like, yeah, that stuff. I lay the blame at the feet of the venue promoter.
Yeah.
The person that put all this together.
For sure.
Jeff Skin Wade, local, he works for the Eagle. He's one of the on-air personalities.
I got you.
They probably paid him $500. Like, hey, host this event.
Yeah.
It wasn't put together properly. It really wasn't. And I blame the person who booked the event, booked Mr. Cusack, booked the movie.
See, I was under the impression that Cusack picked the movie and was doing this himself.
Right.
But he was like, I don't know why they picked this one. I'm only in it. I'm like, oh, really?
Minutes,
Yeah, somebody called and say, hey, we're going to do movies in different amphitheaters around. We're going to pay you X amount of money to come and do a Q&A afterwards. Just like a Comic-Con event, just like a signing and all that stuff. He got paid a pretty chunk of change. And when he walked out onto that stage and saw a chair and a bottle of water, I could read it from as far back as we were that he was like, oh, shit. Like you could tell, like, oh, we're just going to ask, okay.
Yeah, and like I said, he was very gracious and down to earth. Because he was there for the duration. Like he didn't.
He was paid that check.
No,
cleared.
right, but
he never showed an ounce of being fucking annoyed or
He was
hey,
professional.
I'm not going to answer that question. Next question, like he didn't do any of that.
Right,
professional.
Which, like, I wouldn't have. I've been like, what the fuck? I would have lost my shit on stage and people would have seen.
I could see it when he walked out on, like I said, walked out and he saw that one chair off stage left. Like it wasn't even in the center of the stage. It was off left, up towards the front of the stage. He was like, what the hell? Oh, I feel like a weirdo sitting like an interrogation.
I guess he did make a slight comment about it.
It's like an interrogation.
But to your, I didn't think about it, but I guess what you're saying at that point, he realized, oh, this isn't a normal where the moderator's going to ask me questions.
Right.
I'm being thrown to the wolves.
Right.
Yeah,
cool,
and
let me get my face on.
I'd be very
all the Comic-Cons they do, there's a person up there doing the panel.
It's all
let's
handled,
take it to the audience. One question way down there. You already have the microphone. One of our people.
Yeah, I was looking for the microphones in the aisles, but like left and right, and yeah, that seemed
not just line up here
and then get back in line. Like you didn't even. It wasn't even limited to staying in line because the one annoying lady got back in line. And when she got up there, she goes, "I'm back." I'm like, "Fucking."
Well, I was trying to rack my brain. Again, I'm not good in crowds and all that. My brain doesn't work as well as it does most of the time. But I was racking my brain. And I was like, okay, if the line gets low enough, I'll run down there and maybe get in line. If I can think of something, maybe think of something in line. But I kept peering down and the line kept getting longer and longer and staying the same. And then the people started asking stupid questions and, oh, it's you again. And
because I was looking, there was a guy in a red shirt and he was the last one in line. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then a few minutes later, I looked down and there was like 15 more people behind him. I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There's no limit.
I really racked my brain on what kind of question I would have even asked. And then yesterday, as if an epiphany, I thought of a question.
Yeah. What was your?
I really would have introduced myself. Hey, James, podcast.
Yeah.
We do the podcast. Here's what it's called. We break it down based off of Save the Cat, Blake Snyder. Essentially, our podcast is cracking the beats of our favorite movies.
Yeah.
You're a writer. Do you have a system of how you write? Obviously Blake Snyder, Save the Cat is one of many. Yeah. What would you use?
Yeah.
What are some of the movies that some of your favorite movies? God, I can't even see. It's three questions basically. What movie would you recommend for our podcast to review based on us cracking beats? Yeah. How do you personally write the stories cracking the beats? Yeah. And how do you pick a story that you don't write that you're going to
that's cool. Because
what do you look for in those?
If I was going to ask any question, which I absolutely avoid meeting my heroes. I don't.
Absolutely.
I just don't want to talk to them because I don't want it to be crushed. I want to have Cusack in my mind as the teen actor, as the artist. I'm very impressed with him the other night. I want to keep that.
What did you say yesterday on the stairs? I said, never meet your heroes. And you're like, shit, never meet your fans.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah,
After that, like fucking hell.
After that, yeah. I was like, man, if they're paying you.
Like, hopefully he ripped somebody's ass. I'm not doing a fucking venue like this ever again.
If every person that ever walked up to you handed you $50, I am so glad to meet you. You'd be like, okay. Yeah, cool. Whatever crazy shit you're going to say, fine, $50.
Right. And so he was very gracious and genteel about it. Now, along your lines, if I were to, I'd want to very much know his creative process, especially the writing. I'd like, how do you, absolutely.
I didn't want to. And then as soon as I thought of that question yesterday, post event, I was like, I probably would have broke his fucking brain. Yeah. Walking up there with a question like that after somebody's like, what's your favorite food?
Well, that 12-year-old had a better question.
Yeah.
About Fat Man and Little Boy, whatever. At least it was.
Right.
You know,
that would have been
True.
such a
That's
gear
true.
shift
An
for him.
11-year-old or whatever it was a girl,
Well,
right?
He probably would have
Yeah.
enjoyed the question, probably would have answered it thoroughly.
Way
Yeah.
better questions than some of these adults.
and I thought it was interesting.
Nuts.
There were a couple of kids, a 12-year-old, and then there was like another.
He's like 18 or yeah.
Well, there was two children
There's a
essentially.
13-year-old
Oh, that's
too.
right.
And he asked them the same question. One was like 13, one was 12, say. And you know, how old are you? I'm 12. How's it going for
How's
you?
it going? You mad at anybody?
Yeah, you're right. Because he later said that he thought that he would prefer not to have the idea that you got to jump into the workforce and become
Right.
you know.
You don't have
so
to
I
know
think him asking,
everything and figure
yes,
have everything fucking figured
and
out.
so him asking, well, how's it going as a 12-year-old? You know, joking, tongue in cheek, but really understanding that this kid is probably in the most tumultuous time of his life.
Yeah.
How you know,
Yeah.
which shows a deeper sort of understanding than what's your favorite food. You know, so
Sure.
Cusack, like back to circle back around, is not the guy solely not the guy that we see in the movies. Probably a thinking, working artist.
He is a sitting behind. I get the vibe from him is he is an everyday work-a-day writer, actor,
Yes.
producer.
Who wants to add something to the conversation.
He's trying to do whatever he can do to scratch the itch of the art.
Sure.
And I think that's
But
awesome.
wants to add some. I feel like he wants to add something to the conversation, which is why he doesn't necessarily go back and watch 16 Candles. I don't know that
Right.
he thinks that does add something to the conversation.
Why did they pick this movie? You know, he said that. Why
Yeah.
did they pick 16 Candles? I'm barely in it.
Yeah, no, I'm remembering his answer now to the I don't know if it was the 11-year-old or the 13-year-old,
Yeah.
the kid that had asked about what Marvel character would you play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I think he played that wonderfully. Like he answered like staying true to himself.
Yeah.
And then but without like offending the kid because the kid's what Marvel character and
Sure.
he goes, I want to be SpongeBob man.
Yeah.
You know, so like he's not interested in that Marvel shit. You know what I mean?
No.
Speaking to what we're talking about as far as him being an
Well,
artist, and wanting to tell
SpongeBob is
stories.
subversive. Now,
Oh, yeah.
if you watch SpongeBob, there's jokes I think that aren't.
Okay, that's true, but like SpongeBob's not a Marvel character, right? And so, like, I think that's why he
Sure.
was.
No,
he's really interested in playing any Marvel character,
Well,
he'd be an interesting Bruce Wayne.
right?
He really
Right.
would be.
I think that's dark enough that it might attract his attention.
Yeah, I
somehow,
think so.
Because that's a very.
I mean, at least a younger one.
I mean, yeah, they give him a script and some zeros in his bank account.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that he would take it. He might take it with enough zeros. Anybody would take it, but I think Bruce Wayne is conflicted and dark enough
Sure.
as because if I was to really like a superhero, probably Batman would be it because he's the anti-hero. He's the Dark Knight.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
His only superpower is money.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and he's super smart. Yeah, I know.
Right, but,
I know.
but he's,
I know
he's a
about
vigilante, dark, and I think that, he's not.
Maybe a younger Cusack in his 20s would have played a really good young Bruce Wayne. I don't know about Cusack in his mid 50s. I don't know if he's got it.
I'm good.
No,
with
no,
it. I'm
I
good
don't
with
think
it.
that-
An older Batman. That's fine.
I don't remember the actor, but he was asked if he would play James Bond. Now I like James Bond, the character, the movies, or whatever, but he saw that as absolutely no challenge. And why would I want to make the same movie over and over again? He didn't see that, and I can't remember the actor, but he did not see that as really a challenge to his skills or his vision of what he wanted to do as an actor.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because it's a franchise cookie. So I think Cusack is always looking to add something or to challenge himself or to feel like he's moving the conversation or whatever.
No, and that's what I was going to say earlier when you'd made a comment about the trajectory of his career.
Yeah.
Like, you said maybe he'd be bigger because if he hadn't been typecast.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, somewhat true, but it could also be like his choice of roles.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's to say he wasn't offered some of this stuff and he passed on it because it felt
Right.
the same way like you're talking about with this guy with James Bond.
Well,
was like, no, that's
he had
not my
said
thing."
that about Pulp Fiction. Somebody had asked,
Oh, yeah.
you were in line for Pulp Fiction. What happened there? And he said he met Tarantino.
Yeah, they had a conversation.
Tarantino told him everything about the movie, and then that was it.
Yeah. Like I don't know if he ever even technically offered it to him.
Yeah, it's not like he was just feeling him out to me. Like, and then he took off and he goes, yeah, never heard from him again.
Well, I saw the sheet or whatever of Pulp Fiction. He had potential actors and what character
yeah?
they would play. John Cusack was the role of Lance, the guy, the one that was
Stoltz
into Eric
character.
Stoltz. That
see
was
that.
written for John
Eric-
Cusack,
Oh, I can see
according to that note.
Yeah.
but John Cusack
What was he in the movie?
He was the drug dealer, the prank caller. You know,
when they stab Uma Thurman with the needle.
Gives him,
His house.
Yeah, he comes back to his house.
Eric
He crashes
Stoltz.
into his house.
Yeah. And I think Stoltz was a good choice for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but John Cusack, that would have been.
Yeah, Cusack could have done it. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then
Weird
he
though
had-
is I was thinking Travolta's character when I heard the question asked.
Yeah.
I was like, was he up for Travolta's character? That's interesting.
Well, he was up for that one. Like according to the notes, written for Lance, but also under consideration for Pumpkin. That went to not Eli Roth. God, what is his name? Pumpkin and Honey Bunny.
Oh, Tim Roth.
Tim Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim. I mean, but Pulp Fiction is perfect.
No, that's what I'm saying.
John
I think-
Cusack, that'd have been cool, but
No, I think
not needed.
in fact, I'd be hard to imagine anybody other than those people play. And so
Yeah.
at that point, it tells me they got the
He got it right.
right
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
But I think
Cusack in a Tarantino film sounds great. Like, I hope that
Yeah.
happens, you know? I guess he got one shot.
think
I was gonna
Tarantino's
say,
only
isn't
making
there one more?
movie. Yeah, he's making one more movie.
he says
so,
he is.
yeah.
I'd imagine Tarantino's words falling out of Cusack's mouth and rambling style.
Yeah, no, he
That
did.
would be,
Like, he didn't do an impression, but you could hear it.
Yeah,
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
that'd be interesting.
yeah, I think-
neurotic. Neurotic is the word I was looking for before when I
Yeah.
said narcissistic. Neurotic. John Cusack's got that.
Yeah. Well, I read something about Tarantino in an interview or whatever just recently. He's, what is the movie now? He doesn't agree that a movie should be something you show on Apple,
Right.
And to some degree, I buy that because, one part of me, I don't have Apple, but I have Netflix and Paramount and all that. But at the same time, there is something about the experience. We were talking the other day that we almost miss going to Blockbuster because, you're sort of walking the aisles and making your selection and talking about movies. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, the rose-colored glasses
Sure,
of
we-
Blockbuster. Nobody ever brings up the feeling of I'm gonna go get the new
And it's not
Tom
there.
Cruise movie, and it's not there.
Yeah, there's
You
50
got
copies, but they're all-
1,700 copies, but not
and I got to
one.
wait 3 weeks,
Or you finally get it, and then when you get it home, the fucking, Muppets is in there instead of the latest
Sure.
Tom Cruise movie.
No, right.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I miss Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's a
It's
communal
very
thing.
painful.
Yeah,
that
it became-
Leif will never know that experience.
Right.
you know?
And you were there with everybody else who wanted to watch a movie. And we would,
I
And
remember when a sequel would come out, the original would be rented out
Sure.
as well. Like, I mean, just stupid shit like that. It's like now, if you look, I don't know, I guess I look at it like a new movies that like right now we've got the Mission Possibles and Indiana Jones coming out. I guarantee you those are trending on like Apple. and
Oh,
stuff.
sure, yeah,
People
yeah.
go back and they find them and
and some of the streamers have tried to sort of recreate the communal process. I know on Netflix, I know on Prime, there's a button you can hit like Party View where you hit it. And so you at your home, you at your home, and me at my home, we could all watch it simultaneously on Prime.
interesting. Never done that.
Yeah, I've never either. Netflix has it and Prime has it. I don't know if the others.
interesting.
So we could have like a watch party,
Right.
but each be in our own home. So if I paused it, it would pause on all your screens, I guess. I don't know. And then I guess you could chat. I don't know how it works, but
That'd be
it's the idea of recreating the theater experience on your individual screens, which,
That's cool and all, but I think sitting in a room, like Sherry was saying, I was going to bring it up too, is sitting in the theater
Yeah.
watching 16 Candles or any other movie, and when it's a communal experience. Watching 16 Candles at home,
yeah.
I was like, man, there's a lot of pause breaks and
Yeah.
like weird, like there's a line said, then it's a little long. Seeing it in the theater with other people,
Yeah.
the laughter, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I was supposed to be laughing there.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
get
the interaction was
1984
definitely
humor. But
as much of the, to me, that was as much, because now we'll talk about this when we get to Lebowski, but I think 16 Candles was a lot of people's Lebowski in that movie because when I was standing up especially, I heard people just reciting lines full,
automobile.
Yeah.
as
For
if,
real, like-
I mean, this was their movie and they knew
that
the
surprised
lines and were,
Yeah, that surprised me a lot. Like I
yeah.
was, I guess I'd underestimated how many people
Yeah.
love this movie, and
yeah,
I mean,
I
you
know
said
the
it.
line, but to hear it kind of as a chorus
yeah.
pointing at a
Right.
screen,
And-
it's
Yeah,
cool.
It was unique. Yeah,
And when Joan would come up like that, her scene on the bus with Anthony Michael Hall and Molly, it's just those three. She doesn't say she never says actual sentences or words in this movie. It's all sort of under her breath, one word here and there,
Yeah.
like with the water fountain and all. But I think she stole that scene. Like I know Anthony Michael Hall and Molly, but her reactions and just her incredulity and how dumb he was. It's just, she really has got comedic chops, man.
Oh, yeah.
Without saying a word, she can just.
right.
All my attention was focused on her.
I like how Cusack pointed that out too. He was very,
Yeah.
spoke very well of his sister.
Yeah.
and Like, I mean, I guess most people probably speak well of their siblings. I guess if they're
Yeah, but I think he really respects her as
agreed. Yeah, like
a
the
mentor
one guy
almost.
The one guy was trying to lead him, saying, do y'all like say, all right, I'm only gonna do this movie if my sister does it or whatever, and Cusack was like, no, like she started before me and she's got the chops.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
He was like, I get out of the way and let her do her thing.
Yeah,
I steal the scene, so let her do it.
I love her in Grosse Pointe Blank. And he said, she played my boss and this kind of thing, but she is every bit as enjoyable to watch as Cusack in that movie. And in 16 Candles, I think she's probably one of my favorite parts.
Right. I think so, yeah.
The 2 or 3 scenes, and they're all sort of physical comedy scenes, and she has very little dialogue. Anyway, we'll get into that when we talk about 16 Candles. Yeah, so I was impressed with Cusack. I enjoyed the evening. I think the audience was the weakest link.
I agree.
So if you go into these things, these stars are not your friends. You're not best friends. Respect their time. Admire their work. Be respectful of everything they've done to enhance your life.
Well, can I say something? You talked about you might not want to meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Well, my fear is I don't want to meet someone and then as I walk away they think, God, what an idiot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
Cusack doesn't know me, so he doesn't think I'm an idiot. So that's something.
Well, I can try to help you. I know I can tell you, but it's your belief. It's a hard thing to change. Most people, when they meet you, they're actually glad to see you.
Sure.
They're like, thank you for being a fan. You help pay my bills. It's people like you. And then once that's over, they don't remember you at all.
Yeah, sure.
thank goodness.
Well, I mean,
I think Cusack's gonna remember some of these fucking dumbass.
well, I think he'll remember
Couldn't
that
put
there
a
were
face
some.
to a name. He eventually, in years past, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, Fort Worth. There's some
Right,
crazy
I was
Well,
doing
yeah,
a
but
Q&A one time, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't
you're
think
right,
Fort
James, they're
Worth
not gonna
was a
remember.
unique experience. I think everywhere he goes, there's these bimbos.
Oh, for sure.
you know.
Yeah, for sure. Which I think it speaks to why he was probably able to handle it so well because he's okay. This is
30
the
minutes, this is gonna be over.
Yeah,
Well, there's I think it's
do
the
this.
groupie mentality. Like even we went and saw the Eagles before Glenn Fry died, which I'm very grateful. But I remember standing out in the entrance to the theater, where the concessions are and everything. And I can remember just standing there, either waiting on Cher to come out of the restroom, or maybe she went off to buy something. I remember standing there, and there's these people standing around talking and using like Glenn Fry's name and all the band members' names on a first, like they knew them on a first name basis. And he was up in blah 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 the other day, and there's this mentality that they know me, they love me, and I'm part of their inner circle. Well, no, you're not.
That's part of the problem with celebrity, and the most concise way I can say it is an interview with Vince Neil from Motley Crue.
Yeah.
He goes, God help us if a groupie walked backstage and we were drinking a glass of milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to be drinking Jack Daniels
Sure.
or in Motley Crue. You
Always
have to
on,
do. That's what people expect.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's an audience thing. It's us being fans. We have to realize these are people.
Yeah.
These are normal people just doing their jobs. It is bizarre as shit to them that they can, like Philip, he could write something on his computer and then walk out to the grocery store and then people are all over him.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be that famous. I wanted to be able to write stuff, write songs, have people play them,
Yeah.
and then go to the grocery store
Well,
and nobody know who the hell I am.
I've
I
always-
am perfectly happy with that.
I've always told Chris, like, if we ever sold a script, here's the script, give me my money, buy.
Right.
I'm not even sure I'd want to do rewrites at that point and be part of that machine. Give me my money and I'll write the next one, because
Yeah.
it just seems like, because there is the glitter of the Hollywood, and it's, but the reality, I think, is the reality is nothing like
No.
Well,
the glitter that is put on it.
I've been watching a lot of interviews with Nickelback because they are on tour.
Yeah.
And I got so tickled at one of the questions that someone asked them is, who in the band is more the typical rock star? And of course they point to Chad, the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
He's single or whatever.
Yeah.
He's more
He
Oh,
of
was
a
married
partier.
to Avril Lavigne for a little while.
Yeah, 2 years. I think it was.
She is a freaking.
I'm
let me
their
tell you something.
friend.
My YouTube stream has been run
Hey, Philip.
over and populated
Oh, yeah.
with.
But see, I want to do the meet and greet because I am their friend. No, I'm just
2
I'm
years,
just kidding.
3 months and 6 days.
I've been married to Chad Kroger. You just don't know.
That's right. I just.
But
Well, she needs her own
anyway-
YouTube account because I'll have my videos, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I got to get through all this to get to what.
wait a minute, I want to say.
Okay, go ahead.
But Ryan, the guitar player, he's like, well, I clean out my own gutters, and I'm
Sure.
sitting there going, what?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, they talk
Right.
about going to pick up their kids at school.
It's totally normal. When they're not on tour, let me tell you just a little bit of behind the scenes of music.
yeah.
When you're on tour, it is 23 hours of boredom, 1 hour of
Sure,
show.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then,
So it's easy to get into the drugs, into the
Yeah,
celebrity,
sure.
and
well,
then
that's one thing I appreciate about them, because they actually wrote a song about, and I didn't realize it until someone asked the question. It's about doing cocaine, and they had to go ask people, well,
Well, yeah.
does this make sense? Because they don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Now they drink, but they don't do
Well,
drugs.
and-
but they sweat. Wait a minute,
probably
I'm not done.
anymore.
Sorry.
She's
And
talking
then-
about
Don't
Nickelback.
interrupt Nickelback.
And then the other question was to the drummer, Daniel. Someone asked him, they saw him out in public, and they're like, where are the other guys? It's like, he said, we don't hang out 24/7.
Yeah, right.
We have
sure.
our own life.
Yeah,
So-
usually when you're on tour, like I said, 23 hours, 1 hour of show, or 2 hours,
Yeah.
however you want to do the hours. When you're at home, it's like you're here on a day off. You got
Sure.
shit to do. You
You're
got
right.
laundry
Except
to
for
do.
Chad has the studio in his home.
Yeah, sure.
I would
So-
love to have that studio he has. It looks so beautiful.
Well, and then early on, and I guess and this is the fan thing, the whole idea of them being posers, right? Because he'll write songs about cocaine and drugs, but he doesn't do cocaine and drugs, and he'll say in interviews, "They're stories. I'm writing a song, and it's a story about a guy." And so for people to say, "Well, you sing about all these drugs and you don't do drugs, you're a poser." Well, if I did all those drugs,
I'd be dead.
I'd be dead.
I'd be Merle Haggard.
then-
That's right.
And the other thing is,
And if
he
you
has
do all
that
those
song-
drugs, you'll be dead. You know?
He has that song about a kid watching his mother go through abuse from his father, and he says that his dad will say, "Everyone thinks I abused your mother."
yeah.
So-
it's funny.
Anyway,
And that's the problem is people
they can't separate the artist.
they
from-
lay them that over their
Yes,
favorite
they-
people.
yeah, and I think that they would-
know them.
Yeah.
Because myself personally, James Hetfield from Metallica is that for me.
Yeah.
And I have to be very, if I ever have the chance to meet him or talk to him, I got to be very
Sure.
coherent of that. My question would honestly be like, hey, when you go tour Europe, how do you fix your sleep schedule? It'd be something like, oh, well, let me tell you about that.
Yeah.
Because I
Well-
think that's the kind of thing they would want to answer,
Well-
not just, oh my God, I love you. What were you thinking when you wrote this
Sure.
40 years ago?
Well, you
Can
can.
I say what I would
Sure.
say? I already have a question,
Okay,
or
good.
I already have a story.
If Chad Kroger's listening, go for it.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually posted this on one of their sites.
Okay.
That I have their songs. I have 2 songs set for my alarm in the morning, and I'm bad about sleeping through my alarm.
Me too.
So one time, one of their songs was playing over and over and over,
And
and
Philip thought he was in hell.
No, it's literally like.
and I am in my dreams walking around with all of the band, and I'm talking to them about, well, how your kids doing? Conversation like that. And then I'm like, they keep playing your song over and over. Why do they keep playing your song over and over? And then I wake up.
Yeah, sure.
That's what you would tell him? That's not a question.
No, I said, that's something I would
Oh.
have to tell them.
Oh, that story. Yeah, yeah.
You snuck into yeah.
Well, they have
Subconscious.
they have a
Yeah.
greet and meet.
Anyway.
And
I bet they're less expensive than Metallica.
Right.
Yeah.
Metallica meet and greets are like $3,000 a piece.
oh, no, I
My
don't.
buddy that's in another band, he did it and met all of them. I was
Oh.
like, I am so jealous.
Yeah, sure.
So jealous.
Well, you could tell, going to your point about asking him questions, you could tell that Cusack would almost come alive when he got a question that
Right.
sort of was meat for him, like his background or his writing process or, something like that.
just as you would come alive if they thought, hey, what are your thoughts on breaking the story beats of
Oh, yeah.
something in here? You'd be like, oh,
the next
well,
30
yeah.
minutes, we would be,
That's why we have this podcast.
Yeah.
Is because it is something we are excited about. You guys are excited about. I think John Cusack, again, this is, I guess, to everybody listening more, is have that kind of respect for the celebrities or the
Yeah.
people that you appreciate their artwork. And if you do have a chance to ask them a question, don't be one of those gusher people. Like, ask
Sure.
them a legit question that makes them come to life because they get hundreds of those bullshit
Yeah, right.
questions
And
every day of their life.
It goes down to self-awareness. I think a lot of those people have no it's like driving on the highway. You could tell some people are surprised that there's anybody else on the road but them. Some people asking those questions thought that they were just they were going to be the highlight of the show with this question, you know?
Right.
And they have no self-awareness.
John knows I exist. He's going to be talking about me later. Oh,
Yes.
he's going to be talking about you later.
You're right.
Believe me. He doesn't know your name or care, but he'll be talking about
Yeah.
you.
A little self-awareness and perspective could be helpful anyway.
And that's why I had that question pop up into my brain of something I could ask him way too late.
Sure. Well,
But I think that he would have really possibly come to life on that kind of
yeah,
question.
if it's
So,
because it engages him as opposed to somebody I have to put up with to get the next person.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So
well,
all in all, good time though. I
it was a good time.
Yeah.
And our first of many field trips as a podcast.
because I don't know what the future holds, but Texas has definitely got the eyes of many in the industry because there are a lot of people moving here from California. She was watching something this morning, and the ratio is something like 2 to 1 of people moving here versus people moving to California.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge trend, especially from around 2017 on. There's this influx. And just because of the cost of living and all of that is the big draw. But the industry is looking, and like you said, this thing in Mansfield and everything, I think there's going to be a lot more of that kind of filming and industry locating here for whatever reason, you know.
Hopefully we're not priced out of our homes and
Well, that's the
taxes
thing.
get too
That's
nuts.
what I was thinking is like, as you know, this becomes the California, right? Because everybody's moving here
Yeah.
and everything goes up. Then we move to California and
That's what I'm
enjoy
saying.
I had
the
that
nice
thought,
weather and all the fucking
All of a
people
sudden,
are gone. Now,
you can get 4 times your house.
right.
Let me tell you,
Texas money spends better in California all of a sudden. Is it?
yeah, right. You know, I don't know.
Well-
They definitely have the weather, and it's beautiful out there.
In some parts.
Yeah, sure. I would live in San Diego. I would want to live in Bakersfield. You know, Bakersfield is high desert. It's not terrible, but it's you know, not San Diego. Not
San Diego's all right.
yeah.
I've been there a couple times.
Never
Yeah,
been.
I liked where we lived.
Oceanside. Yeah, it was right
Yeah,
outside of San
Oceanside.
Diego.
Oceanside, yeah. That's where I visited my brother when he was in the Marines.
Yeah.
And that was when I got into the ocean. Tasted like pickles. I was like, this tastes like pickles. This sucks.
Very soft.
I was 17. Like,
Sure.
Oh,
This wasn't recently.
No, right.
It was cold.
Yeah. Yeah. The Pacific, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about Cusack?
Excited for the next time we get to do something.
Yeah. I guess that was my point that there probably will be more events like this, especially now that Dallas-Fort Worth is the 4th largest metroplex in the country. So economically, things like this are not going to be able to ignore.
well,
this
even
area.
Fort Worth has their own what is it called? A movie
Festival?
But yeah, the Lone Star Art
what is
movie festival.
film festival.
Film
Yeah.
festival, yeah.
Yeah, Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas. They have all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I want to be traveling to Dallas for too much stuff.
No, I would go
don't-
to Austin before I go to
I
Dallas.
don't like Dallas. I'm sorry.
I mean, Austin is their film festival is world renowned. Fort Worth is certainly not,
Well-
but you know,
Let me take that back. It's not that I don't like Dallas. I like Dallas. I don't like driving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
that's
In Dallas.
exactly what it is. It's driving in Dallas and
Yeah.
around Dallas.
It's the drive because you can literally tell a difference when you leave Fort Worth and you get to Arlington. It gets a little bit worse.
oh sure,
Mhm.
And then as soon as you get to Dallas, it's like I call it like the Cannonball Run, and I know that's an old reference, old movie.
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay,
well, Cusack
Just
was
make Ubering part of the budget for that event. You know?
Yeah.
That way
Well,
we don't.
and
None of us have
I've
to
never-
drive.
I still don't want to
I've
be even
never
just on the
done-
highway.
yeah.
I've never done that.
James like I'm not even riding in a car.
That train that runs
Yeah,
right
yeah.
to
Dart.
Fair
I've done
Park.
that. I've done that. That
might be
all
all right.
right. It's all right.
Cusack was a little
Still gotta
surprised.
drive a ways to get to where you can get on, but
Yeah.
He asked if is there some rivalry between Fort Worth and
yeah,
Dallas?
which I thought was cool, and nobody
Yeah.
answered them because everybody was talking about fuck Dallas and Fort Worth's where it's at.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there was
Well,
a few people in there from Austin and Dallas
Yeah,
that came in.
yeah.
And if they asked better questions in Dallas, he's probably going to think, well,
Yeah. I mean,
Well, a lot of those people said they were from Dallas, asked stupid ass questions.
just sure. No,
so-
Dallas is. I think Fort Worth is like they're. I would like to live in either Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, or San Antonio. I think those are the 3 gems of the state. Dallas, I got no use for.
I think Fort Worth is every bit of the new Austin.
Yeah,
I guess you'd say.
I think it could be. Yeah, Sundance is pretty cool. I'd like to see a music row or something down there, where we could get the clubs, the local joints like Austin has, where we could get these really cool independent artists to come in and stuff.
Hey, you know what? If you take all the big money that you get, we can open up our own little theater.
Yeah.
And then we can do events like that.
Sure.
I always wanted a small movie theater to do screenings and events.
That'd be awesome.
Because the Kevin Smith thing really inspired me. I'm like, dude, we could do name a movie and bring in a screenwriter, an actor, or whatever from that.
Absolutely.
I said that years ago. I think that's really the future of events like that, is because you can literally sit in your house and watch a movie with better screens, better things, whatever, than the old.
Sherry made the point of, like, I was a little disappointed in the size of the screen they had at that.
It was small.
Because perspective wise, our TV we got a bigger picture because we were closer to it, obviously, but it was a bigger, more positive viewing experience on the TV we had than what we got at the theater. Now, I understand the interaction made it very cool, but I was a little surprised because they had a full-size screen at the Die Hard thing.
And the sound sounded really good, though.
I was worried the sound was going to be bad, like, because the size of the screen were so far away. And then I think, James, you'd made a comment there was no subtitles. So I was like, if we can't hear this thing and there's no subtitles, we're screwed.
Right.
Well, the sound was a bit boomy in spots.
Yeah.
Louder.
Like, I did never have
to me, the average listener.
Hearing it.
That auditorium wasn't meant to be just.
No, it was built in the 1800s,
theater,
man, and I think those seats are probably the original.
People were shorter back then, I guess.
Oh my god,
and skinnier.
But also,
I was.
Oh yeah, my knees were killing
the way
me.
the audience knew every line, you didn't really need any of the sound.
No,
anyway.
it was a very cool interactive experience. It
was, but if you could have something that's tailored for that,
absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
The Die Hard thing was better on that. I remember the picture quality of Die Hard not being as good as what we saw.
Right, they probably used actual film or whatever. Because it looked like some
for 16 Candles, it looked like somebody hit play on a DVD player.
They might have. They're very likely it was
on a big screen, but they just hit play because Universal and boom,
Blu-ray.
It could have been Blu-ray. I don't know.
But either way, great experience. I think
it was very cool.
Oh,
anyway, all right. So we're gonna get into the review. We want to do
what movie are we reviewing?
We'll take half a break.
Yeah, we could. Let's take a break because that's basically a full. Let's stretch our legs and we'll come back. We'll do.
Yeah, it's noon. I can eat an oatmeal cookie.
Notable quotables.
Yes,
and then we'll talk about 16 Candles.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. All right, we'll pause on this. Like I started thinking about like rules of etiquette at one of these things. Don't
be a fucking dumbass.
That's sort of the umbrella.
They should probably have a breathalyzer on the line when you go up for your question. Yeah, I mean, Cusack said you can go to Hollywood and knock on doors if you want, or
as far as getting back to Cusack, I think that was rock solid.
Yeah, he was very professional about the whole thing.
Yeah,
he talked about the studio systems being like algorithms now.
Yes,
it's like fast food.
So
I kind of was a little disappointed though that one thing I did really like what he said.
What happened there? And he said he met Tarantino.
Yeah, that conversation.
Tarantino.
And I got so tickled at one of the questions.
I said, never meet your heroes. And you're like, shit, never meet your fans.
Yeah, that's what I said.